Well, Kevin, right out of the gate, I'm going to put you on the spot because I'm curious as to whether you have any thought on Brandyn Hillman, who was a top 200 player out of high school, out of Virginia, top 5 player in the state, ninth or seventh rated athlete, depending on your service. He had a national letter of intent at Notre Dame, was in their 2023 class at 6'1", 190, and was taken out of and given permission out of his letter of intent due to personal reasons. And Ohio State seems to be in the mix. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, Ohio State is in the mix. He's supposed to be lining up some sort of visit to Ohio State, but according to some people I'm talking to, I don't know what that was, on the ground out there, Ohio State's going to have some ground to make up, and not only ground to make up against another team, but it happens to be their biggest rival. It sounds like Michigan has made an impression there. That's not to say that the gap is insurmountable, but you got to get him on campus and kind of see what happens. He's listed as an athlete. I mean, being recruited in the defensive backfield, though. Until the visit happens, if a visit happens, which I believe it will, it's game on at that point. But right now, where things stand, I would probably say that Michigan is in the best position to land him, but things change all the time.
Yeah, Portsmouth, Virginia athlete, Notre Dame signee in December, and was granted a release for whatever reason. And USC, Ohio State, LSU, Michigan, Virginia, Boston College, Vanderbilt, Virginia Tech, Louisville have all offered him. He played quarterback and defensive back in high school. So, I don't know where that puts him, what position he's really looking at to play at the college level. But, Ohio State's making their bid, it sounds like. And like Kevin said, if they can get him on campus for a spring practice or the spring game, that would be huge. So, they're going to make their bid and let the chips fall where they may. I want to go back a second ago to the comment about they don't have a guy to take the top off the defense. And I would disagree with that. I think that, they've got game breakers at wide receiver. I think Ibuka certainly is a guy that can do that at times. And they had long touchdown passes against Michigan and Georgia, not 70, 80-yard type plays, but, they did have some 40-yard touchdowns in those games, as I recall. So, they're from Jay Baggs. I don't know if that's Jaden Ballard's long-lost third uncle, but, I'm not of a mind. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I think that they've got guys that can beat people deep if need be, and do they? I mean, it's a quick strike offense. I mean, they score touchdowns, and once they get the defense loosened up, Kevin, we see a lot of times in these games they'll drive 10 plays, 75 yards on the first series. But once they get that defense loosened up, it's 4 plays, 75 yards, 3 plays, 75 yards. I mean, it can happen pretty quickly. So, but I know those nut cruncher games are a little bit different. But yeah, I don't. What do you think, Kev? I think they've got the firepower to go up against anybody they play against. And I'd like to see an increased role for Ballard. I'm not poo-pooing his whatever, but before you came on, I made the point that the one failing Brian Hartline had was he didn't play enough receivers, I thought, this past year to keep those guys from getting banged up.
Yeah, I mean, they certainly have guys that can take the top off. And the thing, too, is, I mean, all right, there's one thing about a guy that's going to be able to go out and get separation in a highly contested situation. But Ohio State, if you look at a lot of times, things are schemed up so well and routes are run so well that the separation is created before the defensive back ever even has a chance to have a shot. Guys are cutting and making, just wide open, runs 4 or 5 yards away from the closest defender. So I don't think Ohio State necessarily needs to be able to go out there and say, well, we're just going to go run the 9. We're just going to run a we're just going to run a vertical pattern like that and go and to win that way. Now it's great to have as an option, with Devin Smith, who was able to do that. But let's not forget with Devin Smith, he would make the impossible look easy, but a lot of times he'd make the easy look impossible. He had problems with a lot of the little shorties and as you would sit there and say in basketball, the bunnies out there. He wasn't so good at those, but the ball skills that he had and everything else were fantastic, and he was great on the 9. But there certainly are going to be guys that are going to be able to do that. You don't necessarily need to have a Jamison Williams all the time in terms of being that burner to get things done. So, I think that Jaden Ballard certainly is somebody that gives them a lot of that option. And I think that we're going to see a case with no more JSN in the system. I mean, Olave and Wilson gone the year before. I mean, obviously you got Marv, obviously you got Emeka, obviously you've got Julian, but I think we're going to see more of a rotation. And I really think that the class of incoming freshmen, more than anything, are going to force that as well too, because how do you not play a Carnell Tate or a Brandon Ennis or either of the Rogers guys?